Welcome to Unit 3 of the TEAS course prep. On this unit, we will talk about the cardiovascular system. It's really important to understand, especially the function of this system, the structure of the system, and also how to trace, really understanding how blood flow throughout the cardiovascular system. With that being said, let's get learning. So first, let's talk about the function of the cardiovascular system. The primary function of this system is to transport oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and waste product either to the body cells or away from the body cells. The cardiovascular system consists of key structures that work together to make sure that the proper functioning of the cardiovascular system is working, basically. And these structures include the blood vessels, and the heart. So the blood is a vital fluid that carries oxygen, nutrients, hormones, waste products throughout the whole body. It's composed of red and white blood cells, platelets, and plasma. The red blood cells carry oxygen. The white blood cells, they fight infections. The platelets, they help with blood clotting, and the plasma is the liquid component of the blood, and it carries blood cells and substances. So the blood is made up of the plasma, which is the liquid part of the blood, and then it has red blood cells that transport oxygen, white blood cells that fight infection, and the platelets that help with blood clotting. And then we have the blood vessels, and these are basically tubes. They're a network of them, and they transport blood throughout the body. Blood is being transported by blood vessels, and there are three main types of blood vessels. The first one are arteries, and then we have veins, and we also have capillaries. We talked a lot about capillaries on the previous chapter, so give it a look. But basically, arteries, they carry oxygen-rich, oxygenated blood away from the heart and to the body tissues, while the veins carry oxygen poor or deoxygenated blood from the body cells and to the heart so that it can get oxygen. And finally, we have capillaries that are tiny, and they have thin walls, and they connect arteries and veins to allow for the exchange of oxygen, nutrients, and waste. So let's talk about the heart. We'll spend so much time in the heart because it is the main organ, not even in the body, but in this system specifically. So the heart is a muscle organ located in the chest cavity between the lungs. It's roughly the size of a closed fist, and it's positioned slightly towards the left side of the chest. So this means that because it's next to the left lung is slightly smaller than the right lung because it has to make room for the heart. So the heart consists of 4 chambers. These are like rooms. Those are the atria on the upper level, and the ventricles at the bottom. We have the right atrium and we have the left atrium on the top. And the atria receives blood from the body and brings them to the heart. Those are what the top part of the heart do. They receive the blood from the body cells and makes it flow so that it gets oxygenated. And then at the bottom, like I said, we have the ventricles. And the ventricles, they're muscles that pump blood to the body. We have the right ventricle and the left ventricle, all at the bottom. So the heart also has 4 valves. And the valves in the heart, they are like doors. So, when you want to go to another room in your house, you have to open the door, right? In the same way, the valves, they open and close when one of the chambers are basically full of blood, and they make sure that blood only flows one way. So when one chamber is full, it opens up so that it can flow to another chamber or room, and then it closes so the blood does not recurgate, which basically means flow backwards. The valves are important because they make sure that the blood does not flow backwards and only flow the proper one direction. So we have a way to remember all of the valves, because there are definitely words that you haven't heard before unless you're already been studying on your own, but the average person probably doesn't know this. So I came up with a little mnemonic to help you remember all of the valves of the heart. So it is try performing better always, and the T stands for tricuspid, which is one of the valve, and then we have pulmonary, we have mitral, and aortic. So let's look at how the blood flows, and I'm going to do my best to explain this as simply as possible and maybe as slowly as possible. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask them, and I will really do my best to answer them. So I'm going to be looking down and drawing. Let's look at the right side of the heart, because this is where we begin. Like I said, veins bring oxygen, poor blood to the heart to get oxygenated. So the right side does not have oxygen. It's blue blood, and you can kind of remember it because blood is not blue, so it needs oxygen. So we start from the right side. Oxygen poor blood enters the right atria through the vena cava, and we have a superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. These are big veins, and they bring blood from the upper, which is superior vena cava, from the upper part of the body, and the inferior vena cava brings blood from the lower part of the body, like the legs, the toes. All that deoxygenated blood goes through the inferior vena cava, and the superior vena cava brings the blood from the upper body, and they all go through the right atria, and it's oxygen poor blood. And then from there, try performing better always. Try performing better always. So that means we start with the tricuspid from the right atria. When the blood is full, the tricuspid open to let blood flow from the right atria to the right ventricle. And when the right ventricle is full, the tricuspid valve will close and the pulmonary valve will open, and blood will flow through the pulmonary arteries to get oxygen from the lungs and release or exchange carbon dioxide. You can go back in the previous unit to understand how blood gets the oxygen, but it's really important that you realize that basically blood gets oxygen from the lungs, and pulmonary is just a term for lungs. So blood will flow through the pulmonary arteries to get oxygen from the lungs. And you can remember this because pulmonary is basically a key word for lungs. In the pulmonary arteries, that's where we will get the oxygen and let go of the carbon dioxide. And now we are on the left side, which is blood is now rich of oxygen. And oxygen-rich blood from the pulmonary veins will flow to the left atrium. And then when the left atrium is full, the mitral valve will open to allow blood to flow from the left atrium to the left ventricle. So we're going always up, down, and then every time we go from up to down, we have to go through a door. Every time we move rooms, we have to go through the doors, and you just have to remember which doors. And I really hope that my little try performing better always, you can also just say TPBA if that's easier for you. But now we are at the mitral valve, and it will open to allow blood to flow from the left atrium to the left ventricle. And when the left ventricle is full, the mitral valve will close and the aortic valve will open. This will allow for blood to go from the aortic valve to the aorta. And the aorta will send oxygen-rich blood to the rest of the body. I also came up with something else. This might not make a lot of sense, but if you're just really good at memorizing information, a great information to memorize is that aorta transport oxygen-rich blood to the body, and veins transport like oxygen poor blood to the heart to get oxygenated. But I also just thought of a toe body, and that stands for aorta transport oxygen efficiently to the body. Aorta transport oxygen to the body, while vet B, you can just pretend you have a crush on a vet and their name starts with B. So vet B with a little heart because you have a crush on them. So veins efficiently transport blood to the heart. And that is how blood flows. I hope I made some sense. If not, let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. But as always, we have a unit review on each of our chapters. The first question we have here, which I think is fairly easy, it says, which of the following blood components is responsible for transporting oxygen? A, red blood cells, B, dissolved gases, C, plasma, D, leukocytes. And number 2, it says, which of the following chambers pumps blood towards the heart? Oh no, it says, which of the following chambers pumps blood towards the lungs? A, the left atrium, B, the right atrium, C, the left ventricle, D, the right ventricle. This one you need to like draw the heart yourself and kind of like remember what we've just learned. But the third question is, which of the following statements best describes the function of veins? A, veins carry deoxygenated blood. B, veins carry blood back to the heart. C, veins carry oxygenated blood. D, veins carry blood away from the heart. And the fourth question is, which of the following lists the primary parts of the heart? A, blood cells. B, muscle tissues split into 4 chambers. C, 4 ventricles. D, muscle tissues split into 2 chambers. The last question is the easiest, but let me know what you think in the comments and I will let you know if you got the correct answer. And yeah, let's go on unit 4. I'm proud of you.